Hello there guys, and welcome back to Blues Fans TV for my, well, really Lampard press conference reaction ahead of Bournemouth versus Chelsea, which of course takes place tomorrow afternoon on Saturday afternoon with the kickoff at 3 p.m. UK time at the Vitality Stadium in Bournemouth. And like I said, this is the, Lampard press conference reaction, the second time we're doing this. Did it for the first time last time. We're just trying things out just to see what we like, just to see what you guys like. So let us know down in the comment section below whether you like this kind of format as well. Of course, we are live right now, so there is the live chat option for you right now. As you can see, this video is again sponsored by OneFootball, so thank you to them. And if you wouldn't mind, please go down below into the first, line of the description, of the video description, and download the OneFootball app via that link. That would be massively appreciated. It helps us out a lot, and it is the best football app out there, so you definitely won't be regretting that. And also, as I mentioned it, please be sure to subscribe to Blues Fans TV. That would be massively appreciated. And also drop a like on this live stream / on this video if you're watching it at a later point. I will get into what you guys are saying in the chat towards the end of the live stream, if you will, because I can't talk through basically what I have to talk about and read the chat at the same time. So we'll give a couple of you guys in the chat a shout out or whatever, or just reply to your questions / statements. We will do that towards the end, but now let's just get straight into it, and starting it off by speaking about Frank Lampard's pre-match press conference, because it's not going well for us. It's not going well for us. We really, really are injury FC, and it's a bit depressing how badly we are injury FC, to be honest. I mean, the injury news to start it off with, all of Christian Pulisic, Hudson, and Kante are still out injured, that have missed for, the last couple of games in Kante's case, and Pulisic and Odoi for a little while now. But also, Tammy Abraham is now out injured again with the same injury. Now, reportedly, he went down in the warm down from the Bayern game, in which obviously the players that don't start or don't even come on as substitutes, they, do a little warm down after the games always. And he went down in that. We didn't know at the time whether that was severe or not, but now Lampard has confirmed, not necessarily that anything happened there, but just that he's again out with the same injury. And, he basically just said we're trying to find a solution at the moment for his injury, because obviously it's annoying for a while now. He's kind of been in and out and in and out, and it's obviously a bit of a problem. And, thank God we didn't sell Giroud. And if we did, obviously would have hopefully sign a replacement. Let's just thank God we didn't sell him without getting a replacement. Also, let me know in the chat, even though I'm not reading the chat properly, if everything's working fine, basically. Because sometimes there is a bit of delay and a bit of, my voice isn't synced to my face, basically, which is obviously a little bit of an issue. We'll get into Christian Pulisic's injury in a second now, because, Lampard did give a little bit of detail on that. He said it's an adductor injury, which we did kind of know, but it wasn't confirmed. And he did confirm that we did actually expect Pulisic back sooner, but that's just not how it was, really. Lampard said he had an injury like that himself that kept him out for 3 months, which was his worst ever injury, really, which, Lampard got really lucky in that case, or in that sense. But yeah, he kind of knows and feels for Pulisic, because, it's an injury that isn't actually that bad, but just keeps dragging on, and maybe by trying to come back as soon as possible made it a bit worse, which is probably why we expected him back just before, or at least just after the winter break, and now he's still out, and we don't have a time frame for when he will be back. So that's of course not ideal. Hudson is still limbering with that hamstring problem. Again, we don't know for sure when he will be back, but it shouldn't be too long. For Tammy, we have just no idea at the moment. But Ruben Loftus-Cheek, at least some positive news, will be in the squad again. It wasn't like a flare-up of the injury again while he wasn't in the squad against Bayern Munich. Lampard just decided against Bayern it wasn't the best to have him on the bench, but said he might have used him against Spurs, but then in the end didn't feel like basically that he needed to. Then of course he was asked about and spoke about the Bayern Munich game, and Lampard just said, well, the players are fine. We played well against Spurs, and then we didn't against Bayern. Tough games and tough results happen in football, and then it's about how you come back from that. And he's absolutely right with that. Football is also about not having so many tough results, because we've had way too many of that. So, please make sure of that as well, Lambs. That'd be good. And he also made it clear that we certainly could have performed a lot better against Bayern Munich on Tuesday, which he, of course, is absolutely spot on with again. On Kepa, who he was asked about and spoke about, he said that their relationship is fine, but he has 25 players in the squad and he can't keep everyone happy, which, I mean, duh, obviously. At the same time, he basically said that the player is showing good professionalism in training, which is good. But he said, it's just down to the player, to come back in the team. It's training really well. Some players, some people have said in the, what's the word, like in the warm up before games, Kepa didn't really look all too entertaining the idea, okay, I'm the backup goalkeeper today, I'm on the bench and I'm trying to save shots here. He wasn't really all too much up for it. I didn't really pay attention to it, quite frankly, or was I not in the ground early enough? To be honest, I don't know. Of course, at the time I was in London. Now I'm back home, which is a bit sad. But yeah, with the whole coronavirus thing, I might have not gotten home at that point. So who knows? Maybe it's a blessing in disguise, I guess. Then Lampard continued on by stating that most of the reports in midweek of players that Lampard apparently wants to get rid of in the summer are false and nonsense. He said he's not making any decisions like that right now. Every player is in charge of their own destiny. Of course, there were reports like he wants to get rid of Jorginho, who a lot of people actually decided to pick out as the main, guy to blame for our performance against Bayern Munich, which to me is ridiculous. I mean, Frank Lampard knows that Jorginho is slow and has physical, deficits, right? Then don't play him in the midfield two of a 3-4-3 against a high-pressing teammate. Can't blame him for that. Didn't see anyone blaming John Terry for being slow when Villas-Boas played him in a high line. That was Villas-Boas' problem for playing John Terry, who is slow, in a high line. You don't do that. You should know better as a manager. Same as Frank Lampard should know better of not playing Jorginho in a midfield two against a high-pressing team. Don't work that. Just absolutely doesn't. With Kante, maybe. Without him, just absolutely not. But yeah, there was talk about Jorginho, Willian, I think Pedro, a couple of others in there as well. And basically Lampard just said it's basically nonsense. Of course, that also included Kepa. He then said, on using a back three, he basically just said we have to be fluid and that the results are mostly down to the input of the players. Basically said it's less so down to the system than, just the input of the players, because we played in the back three against Spurs and it worked really well, and we played in the back three against Bayern and it really didn't work. And I strongly disagree with Frank there. I'm sorry, mate, but our system, might have been the same, but the opponent's wasn't. So our system should have been different, because we apparently, decided to not be the team to try to put our game on Bayern's, which I still think we're capable of, because we managed to do it for a majority of the games against Man City and Liverpool. Still stand by the fact that they're both miles better than Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich are having a bad season. They've had a good 1.5 months now after their winter break, but they're having a bad season. Bayern Munich are not the Bayern Munich of 2013, and if people think just because they beat us 3-0, they're better than Liverpool and City, you're off your bloody head, people. You are off your bloody head. They're not. They're absolutely not. They have a couple of good players, but that's it. We just gave them everything. We did everything to make the game easy for Bayern Munich. Everything we could have done, including individual mistakes, including individual errors, we did to make it easy for them. So I strongly disagree with what Lampard said there. And then lastly, both the spokesperson of the club and Lampard confirmed that the club are following all government protocols regarding the coronavirus, which, I don't really know the exact situation about England. People start to panic a little bit in Austria. And I'm just relax. It's not that deep. But, that was it from the press conference. And now let's talk about the game as well. Let's preview this game as well, because it's a really, really, really important game for us. As much as we'll go to Munich and give it our best shot, let's be honest, we're out of the Champions League. But we still have a lot to play for in the Premier League. And beating Spurs last week was a big result for us. But now we finally just need to build some momentum and start winning a few games on the bounce, which, if I'm not mistaken, in the Premier League we haven't done since early December or late November, that we won 2 Premier League games on the bounce, which is ridiculous. Especially, it is important now this weekend, as a few of our top 4 rivals are facing each other this weekend, as Spurs host Wolves and Manchester United are away to Everton. The only problem is, whenever we've been in a similar situation like that this season, when our rivals had difficult games or dropped points when they played before us, we weren't able to capitalise and drop points as well. Biggest example of recent, the game against Newcastle, when everyone lost, everyone dropped points, and we bottled it as well. So let's just hope that changes tomorrow. And I'm kind of also hoping that we change the bloody formation back to a forward-the-back formation. At the same time, with our injury problems and just lack of quality by certain players such as Pedro, I could kind of understand if Lampard actually sticks to the 3-4-3. Against Bournemouth, I feel like it could both work well or go really badly again, to be honest. I'm not sure. That's why I'm not a manager. I give my opinion on here. But this one is a difficult one. I'm not sure. Generally, I think the forward-the-back systems we have, 4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3, are miles better again than the 3-4-3, bar against some oppositions. But with the injury problems we have, I'm not sure which is the better one right now. Now, I'll just basically talk through both of them, because, I feel like that's probably the best thing for me to do right now. So I'll give you kind of the 2 lineups that I have in mind. First of all, in a forward-the-back formation, I have it in a 4-2-3-1, kind of a 4-2-3-1 anyways. That can also be reverted to a 4-3-3 quite easily. Caballero, I think we just at this point have to accept will just be in goal from now on. Like, it just doesn't look like Kepa is going to come in at any point, which I still think is a bit strange, because I'm like, well, if we're going to sell him in the summer, he's just losing value and value and value if you don't play him. And really, it doesn't make much of a difference which of the two play. It doesn't change much in how many goals we concede. Yeah, Caballero made a few good saves against Bayern Munich, but he's also made plenty of mistakes, and our playing out from the back with him is awful. But the two centre-backs I still expect to be Christensen and Antonio Rudiger, even though I would most certainly drop Rudiger for Tomori or even Kurt Zouma. But that's not happening. I very much doubt that Frank Lampard will do that. Certain reasons for Tomori. With Zouma, I'm not really sure. Zouma just doesn't have that ball playing ability as much as we kind of need it. Pardon me, just get a drink. So I expect it to be Christensen and Rudiger again. And I don't think those two are too bad. Especially Rudiger just needs to really be careful with his positioning. He's just, either he's way too far back behind the offside line, either he's pushing like crazy forward. He just needs to get it right. Christensen, on the other hand, I've been quite happy with for a little while now, to be honest. Just when he got his nose broken against United, he could have done better against Martial, but he had a broken nose, so, fair play. Reece James, of course, has to be at right back, even though he has to improve from the Bayern game. He was shocking in that game. Shocking. But again, three at the back. Maybe he's arguably better as a wing back, but I actually prefer him as a right back. I think that's better for him, personally. And Azpilicueta has to be on the left. Don't want Alonso again, just pissed me off too much. Even though I thought that red card against Bayern Munich was a bit harsh. And he scored against Spurs, still by far a worse player against Spurs, and against Bayern just did absolutely nothing except that one shot where he did well, but the shot in the end wasn't that good. A midfield 2/3 in a 4-2-3-1/4-3-3. Of course, Jorginho and Kovacic, Kante is out, so who else are we going to play? We're not going to start Billy Gilmour, are we? And then in the number 10, as you can see on screen, of course, I would have Ross Barkley with Mason Mount as one of the wingers. They can, of course, interchange. Ross Barkley played as kind of a half winger in the last two games as well. And he wasn't good against Bayern. I know that for a fact. But who do we have? I don't want to play Pedro. I just don't see the point in having Pedro. I would rather have Ross Barkley than Pedro, in all honesty. I just would. So Barkley is more of a 10 that can drop into a 4-3-3 formation, as well as a bit more of an 8. Mount on the right wing and Willian on the left wing, or the other way around. Doesn't really make that much of a difference. And with Tammy being injured and Michy Batshuayi having been as bad as he was recently, of course Olivier Giroud has to be that starts up front. Then coming to my kind of how I would go for it, / how I expect Lampard to line it up if we do go for a 3-4-3, you can see that on screen now. Well, of course, still Willy Caballero in goal. The back three, I think, would stay the same. Aspi right centre-back, Christensen central centre-back, and Antonio Rudiger the left side of centre-back. For me, again, it should most certainly be Tomori in that position. But for certain reasons, it won't be, like I said, which I won't get into. I mean, Kurt Zouma, yes, but I think Tomori is better suited as a wide centre-back. Hence why there, in this formation, I would just pick Tomori over Rudiger. In the other one, I would probably pick Tomori and Zouma over Rudiger at the moment, but neither of that is going to happen. And Reece James, of course, again, a right wing-back. Alonso, a left wing-back. Could try Emerson, but to be honest, Lampard just won't. But Alonso gives us more of a goal threat. But when we're in possession, when we dominate a game, having Alonso on a pitch is always a bad thing. So, that's always the kind of problem that you have. Midfield two, of course, there has to be Jorginho and Kovacic then. Willian again for me on the left wing, Mount on the right wing, and Giroud up front. And then you still have the same problem that you had against Bournemouth, against Bayern Munich, with Jorginho and Kovacic as a midfield too. Jorginho being slow and weak, Kovacic being really good on the ball, but defensively has, lacks sometimes, overcommits for tackles, doesn't get his tackles always right. Jorginho defensively much better than him, but then so much slower. So we have problems there. We have problems. A 3-4-3 is not ideal without N'Golo Kante in there, in my opinion. Against Bournemouth, it could work. It depends on how they approach the game, which is difficult to predict, because sometimes they try to press and attack, sometimes they try to sit back and defend. It's difficult to predict Bournemouth with that. If they try to sit back and defend, we're probably fine with Jorginho and Kovacic. If they try to press us, then it might be a bit of an issue. Let's see what Eddie Howe thinks of that as well. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But those would kind of be the two formations that I think, we should go for, depending on which Lampard chooses as the better one, if you will. Of course, I have to mention Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Lampard said he will be on the bench. Will he come on? I hope he will finally give his comeback, whether it's late on to try and change the game or whether it's late on because we're comfortable and, we just give him a few minutes so he finally starts to, play competitive football again, which would be good. I just hope he comes on. Would be very, very, very surprised if he starts. That'd be crazy. So I definitely don't see that happening, but I just hope he comes on and makes his debut or his comeback this season, I guess. Personally, I would prefer the back four system. Like I said, and we can adapt slightly between 4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3. I just think it gives us more control in midfield, which I think is always important because our defenders aren't good enough, depending on whether, regardless of whether we play 3 at the back or 4 at the back / 2 centre backs, our defenders aren't good enough to deal with players running at them. They're just not good enough. Way too prone to mistakes and just not good enough positionally, any of them, really, bar Christensen, in my opinion. And not even him regularly, kind of thing. So I think having more men in midfield, controlling the play more, also being able to stop an opponent's counter-attack higher up the pitch, I think is massively beneficial to us. And like I said, it gives us more control. And if Lampard then doesn't like it, he can just bring on Alonso for Barkley and revert to a 3-4-3. It's pretty simple. One thing that is for sure, though, is that unlike against Bayern, we won't be scared of Bournemouth. But let's hope the players have finally grasped that you can't just give it 100% against Spurs and maybe a couple of other games along the way. We need that every single game, because otherwise we will just keep dropping points, which is absolutely infuriating. And if we do, and for once cover the bloody far post, which we still don't do, didn't against Bayern, didn't against Spurs, don't do ever, for all of those crosses that we whiz across the box, if we do that for once, we'll get goals and win, in my opinion. We just have to make sure that that's not our only way of attacking. Keep the passing crisp and precise, attacking over the wings, but also attack down the middle at times, shoot from time to time. Just vary it up, don't make it so easy for the opponent to predict what we're going to do. But of course, we still have to be defensively solid. And Bournemouth are arguably actually more of a threat than Spurs were last week, because they were without a Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. But still, I'd like to think if we manage to cut out our individual mistakes, or generally collective mistakes as well, we can contain Bournemouth. The question is just, are we going to be able to cut out those mistakes? I'm not sure. And I'm also not sure whether we will finally be able to start taking our chances. So, that's obviously slightly depressing. But then to kind of lastly, just touch on Bournemouth quickly as well. They're currently sitting 16th in the Premier League table on 26 points from 27 games, just 2 points above the relegation zone, and have generally had a worse season than they have had, well, pretty much since gaining promotion back to the Premier League a few years ago. They concede quite a lot of goals with 43 so far, and don't really score that much with just 26. But they do actually have two important players for them returning from injury in Nathan Ake and Jefferson Lerma, which of course should be a boost for them. They score from set pieces as well, 9 goals this season already from set pieces, which we know is everything but our strong point. And in the two Wilsons, actually, Callum Wilson and Harry Wilson, they also have two rather serious goal threats. Both of them have already scored 7 goals this season, which isn't crazy amounts compared to, say, Vardy or Aubameyang or whatever else. But, to a Bournemouth level, who are just 2 points above the relegation zone, have 2 players with 7 goals, is not too bad. So we need to be careful of that. And even though they are where they are in the league, firstly, they're slightly better at home as well than they are away from home. 16 of the 26 points they've picked up at home. And we have also, for some reason, struggled quite a bit whenever we went to their place at times. Not every time, but a few times. We had the bad defeat on the Kante. Pretty sure we had a bad defeat there on the Sarri as well, if I'm not mistaken. And we just struggled. We just struggled there at times. And also, let's not forget they already beat us at Stamford Bridge this season in December, when obviously I think Dan Gosling scored their winner late on, which was infuriating. So we'll just need to be on it and I hope that we will be. And maybe a heavy defeat like the one in midweek against Bayern Munich was kind of what both the squad and Lampard needed. We'll see. I just hope so. I really, really hope so. I mean, my score prediction is going to be another 2-1 win for Chelsea. And God, do I hope I'm right. God, do I hope I'm right and we actually get the 3 points tomorrow, because we really need it. Unlike Arsenal, who are out of Europe, and, that's just awful, because, I mean, how can you lose to Olympiacos after you win the away game? That's the difficult bit. When you play Olympiacos Piraeus, the away game is the difficult bit. Arsenal won there and they bottled it at home. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Absolute banter club, and they think London's red. I mean, that's just funny. That's just funny. But yeah, they're way down the table. They're 9th. Even though they're not that far off us in points, they're way down there. We're still 4th. We just have to keep winning. We just have to start winning games now and then keep winning games. And then we'll be fine. We'll be absolutely fine. But guys, I think I'm going to leave it here before I get to your questions. So I'm going to do that now. If you do have anything that you guys want to put in the chat, and I will touch on that in a second. Put it in there now. I've been going for just 13 minutes. I have a couple of minutes left to talk about that. Is Billing playing? He single-handedly destroyed our midfield last match. Difficult to predict. He's fit, but whether, Eddie Howe will start him or not, we'll have to wait and see. He probably will, considering what, you said happened in the last game. Am I crazy, but let's play forward the back with Alonso as striker? Yeah, to be honest, better than him at left back. Is Tammy fit? No, Tammy Abraham is out injured. No more back 5. We need to stick with 4-3-3. I generally agree, Priestley. The problem is just our injuries. Because if we had wingers, if we had Hudson, if we had Pulisic, I'd agree. The problem is just Pedro. Pedro is so bad. And then when we start mounting a wing and have to start Barkley midfield because Kante is also out, then we have a lack of midfield options both on the bench and on the pitch. It's just a bit of a problem. Bring up Andrew and Broja. The Andrew one is a fair shout. Borja, I'm not 100% sure on him yet. Andrew is a fair shout. Maybe you could just put him on the bench. I'd rather see him on the bench than Pedro, to be honest. You might as well, in my opinion. You might as well actually meant to mention that last week, but then I forgot. I don't rate Rudiger, to be honest. I don't either. In all honesty, I don't either. People crying Lampard need to have a good look at themselves in the mirror. Even the best managers in the world could not have gotten the result against this Bayern Munich team. Now, I completely agree with you, Nippon, but I still think Lampard is getting a lot of things wrong. Lisa said, we conceded 28 goals when Jorginho and Kovac play as a pivot, conceded 13 when Kante is in a pivot. Now, okay, yes, but we also played a lot more games with Jorginho and Kovac in a pivot compared to when Kante played in the pivot, because when Kante played, until we came back from injury later, we barely played a 4-2-3-1. We mostly stuck to a 4-3-3, so it never was a pivot. And then Kante never played deep, because Kante, 99% of the time this season, plays a fucking number 10, mate. Like, that Kante doesn't play in the pivot. Kante plays a number 10, which is why he's so annoying when he plays, because Lampard makes him our most attacking midfielder. And it just don't work, mate. It just absolutely doesn't. And it really, really annoys me. But, yeah, of course, Kante generally gives us a little bit more defensive stability to some extent, but also harms our attacking play a lot, in my opinion. Like, harms us so badly. But at the moment, he's injured anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Kante or Kovac, or Kante as Jorginho as a pivot? Lisa, Kante isn't fit. Kante is injured, so it's irrelevant. When were you ever invisible in the league? You have under half our league titles. I assume you're an Arsenal fan. Don't know what you're on about, but I mean, just think about when your last league title was. You know, when you laugh at us not having a league title before 2004-5, except of course the 55 one, then, you know, laugh at that if you want. But, you know, if you're not careful, you're going to have that long of a wait coming soon now, mate. So, you know, good luck with that. Good luck with that, mate. Have you heard the news about Liverpool? No, I haven't. I haven't heard about the news against Liverpool. Thoughts on Reece James playing too safe and passing backwards instead of surging forward? Yeah, no, generally agree. Just had a bad game against Bayern Munich. I think it was also to do with the fact that Barkley and Mount were the players in front of him. We didn't really trust them as much to like play quick little 1-2s and have the movement behind him and still have the security. I think, you know, that's what's kind of harmed him, but he generally just wasn't good enough. He looked lazy at times, he looked lethargic, he looked slow. I just wasn't happy with him against Bayern Munich at all. Are we getting top 4? I'm not sure. I did a Twitter poll yesterday. By the way, link to my Twitter is down in the description. It's Lars1507. And, you know, 80% of people said, or 78% of people said we would. So, fair enough. How would you describe Lampard's second season as a manager? I mean, that's probably the most difficult question I've ever been asked, mate. I don't know. I don't know how I'd describe that. Shambles? I don't know. No, I'm being harsh. You know, some parts were good, but I think most of the good parts he relies on, Sarri implemented last year, to be honest. All of the good passing play, most of it Sarri implemented. The main good thing that Lampard did is bring the youth in, and especially early on, Tammy, Mason Mount and stuff really worked well. Reece James, for the most part, still works really well, but other than that, it's kind of been very on and off, and, you know, I still expect significant improvements from the squad, from the board in signing new players, but also we need significant improvements from Frank Lampard, because what we did against Bayern was just, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Do you think Pulisic is actually injured, or has he fallen out with Lampard? No, I think he's actually injured. I'm pretty sure with that. Score prediction for tomorrow. Well, I said that earlier, 2-1 win for me personally. Let's just hope I'm right. Where's Emerson? I don't rate him, but is he injured still? No, he's not injured as far as I'm aware. But, you know, in a 4 at the back, I prefer Emerson over Alonso. In a 3 at the back / 5 at the back, I actually think Alonso is more useful just because he's just more of a goal threat. And we already take away an attacking player when we play 3 at the back / 5 at the back. So, you know, I'd rather have the more goal-threatening left wing back of the two. But yeah, guys, I think I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys to all of you guys that have tuned in. I really, really do appreciate it every single time. Let's hope we can get the victory against Bournemouth tomorrow. It would be big, like I said in the beginning. It really, really would be big with the other, you know, games that are, you know, happening this weekend as well. Like I said in the beginning, this video is sponsored by OneFootball. Why did that thing stop? That thing wasn't meant to stop. Like I said in the beginning, this video is sponsored by OneFootball, so please go down below into the video description and download the app via the first, you know, the link that is the first line of the description. Download the app, the OneFootball app. It is the best football app out there. It gives you all of the news you need, you know, about your football team, about your favorite club, about football in general. You know, score updates, live score updates, the latest transfer rumors, the latest other sort of rumors. Also the fact that, you know, if the coronavirus stops the Premier League, Liverpool won't win the league, which in my opinion is brilliant. There's still hope. Of course, I'm joking. Let's hope coronavirus doesn't go even more mental, because it's actually a bit annoying now. But again, people need to stop panicking. It's not that deep. And I'm not a doctor, but still, it's not that deep. Anyways, download the OneFootball app. That'd be massively appreciated. It really does help us out. Subscribe. clicked the wrong thing again, for fuck's sake. Subscribe to Blues Fans TV if you haven't already. That would be massively appreciated. Drop a like on this live stream if you're watching it right now. Drop a like on this video if you're watching at a later point. And also, if you're watching as a video, leave me your thoughts ahead of the game down in the comments section below. Click the I button up there for a couple of posts that I put up there, and make sure, you know, basically give me your thoughts on those. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. I really do appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in. But yeah, let's just hope we can get the win tomorrow. And I'll see ya when I see you.